So we're going to be doing a presentation on how to build your personal brand. I appreciate everybody who's in here right now because obviously there's so much going on, right? Obviously it's New York Fashion Week. There's a whole debate election going on right now, and you guys chose to be in this webinar with us tonight, learning how to build your personal brand at 10 p.m. So if you're here right now, you should give yourself a pat on the shoulder or a pat on the back. Because you don't have to be here. And so I wanted to make sure that this presentation was as concise as it could be, straight to the point, gave you guys value, was interactive, and there was examples. So I feel like it would be extremely easy for everybody to have a bunch of takeaways from this and then also be able to apply it after this webinar is over. So obviously the presentation is how to build a personal brand with myself. We have two marketing companies here, and I would love for you guys to type in the chat because I'm not going to expect any of you guys to speak up. But we have two marketing companies here. They both have 10 years of experience. They both have worked with Fortune 500 companies, so they have the social proof of being able to take on stressful projects. They have a decade of experience, and they both offer logo design, social media graphics, packaging design, and just brand identity in general in terms of like the guidelines for it. And they both are charging the same exact price. Now, the only difference between these two companies is that marketing company number two is run by your favorite content creator that happens to be an entrepreneur and runs a marketing agency. And the first company is run by somebody that you don't know at all. And so the world that we live in now, in this digital world, a majority of the people are going to pick marketing company too. And that's what gives a lot of people an advantage when it comes to business now, is by having some sort of a digital presence. Nowadays, whenever somebody's meeting with somebody for a job, whether you're being interviewed or you are talking to somebody, right? Somebody meets somebody like on Instagram and they meet them in the DMs and whatever you do, right? Whenever you're about to go meet up with somebody, a majority of the time, people are looking people up beforehand. And even when you're about to work with a company and spend your hard-earned money in this economy, you want to know who's behind it. And we've been hearing a lot about personal branding. What is a personal brand? It's what you stand for, your personality, what you're good at, and I like to also say that it's what people think of you in one word. If you don't know what that is, then you can ask a friend, you can ask your mom, your dad, your sister. Ask them to describe you in one word, and that's where you can first start off by starting to figure out what your personal brand is for you. Um, I don't know if I can see the chat, but this was supposed to be a little bit more interactive. I have four people here. And obviously we have Rick Rubin. And in the chat, if you guys could type in, one word that comes to your mind when you think of Rick Rubin. And then once you guys are done with that, one word that you would use to describe Steve Jobs. And after that, obviously Tai Lopez, everybody's seen him. He was on YouTube ads. He was a meme on the internet a couple years ago. And everybody knew him as the knowledge guy, right? And so when you look at Rick Rubin, you think of like creativity. When you look at Steve Jobs, well, I'm saying what you would think. I mean, at least at the end of the day, what I think of is Rick Rubin is a creative. Steve Jobs is a visionary. Tai Lopez, I think of knowledge. And Oprah, I think of like a savant, right? Or just like I think of somebody, when I look at all these different people, I also think of them as like risk takers. And so now the question is, why is personal branding so important? And let me see if I can see the chat. Oh, I can't see the chat right here. Oh, welcome, Phil. I think Phil is in here as well. But the question now is, why is personal branding so important? The reason why it's important is because if you don't meet people in person, this is a great way for you to build trust before you link up with them. Or let's say you're always just doing online business and you're never going to meet up with this person. You still could be potentially doing business with them. You could be selling them a service. You could be partnering with them. You could work at their company. There's endless possibilities when you have a personal brand. Even for myself, I've been able to get speaking engagements. Our company has been able to facilitate multiple partnerships, not just because of what's it called? Just the company in general, but just because I'm associated with the company or my co-founder has a personal brand and he was able to attract somebody from another company that now wants to work with us. Or even the tech company that I'm a part of now, tappedai. The reason why I was able to, meet with my co-founder was because he knew of me at school and my personal brand was being involved in the music space. And so what people on campus knew me as was the events guy and the music guy. And so when my co-founder at the time was building a music tech startup, he was asking around and said who would be the perfect music guy. And people were talking amongst themselves, and they had recommended me to him, and that's how I was able to connect with somebody like Johannes, whereas I usually wouldn't. I was on the opposite side of campus, throwing events, working with musicians, working with creators and influencers, and he was on the opposite side, working with engineers, doing hackathons. Our worlds would have never crossed. And I was always so worried that he would have never liked me because I was like, he'd just think I'm some like uh there's some douchebag, what's it called, music events concert guy. Regardless, we still got to hit it off. And if that were never the case and I never put myself out there, I wouldn't have that opportunity and be able to be involved in tech or even build an AI company today. And this might be a take that a lot of people don't agree with. I see a lot of people saying that when you do develop a personal brand, you need to be authentic, you need to be consistent, and you need to bring value. And all that is great, don't get me wrong, but that is nothing without storytelling. I hate to break it to you guys, there's a lot of people who are building personal brands right now that are not authentic, but they're still killing it. And some of them are not consistent, but they're still killing it. And some of them are not building value or bringing value, but they're still killing it. And that's because they're great storytellers. Now, to have a great personal brand, if you are authentic, if you are consistent, and you are bringing value, and you are a great storyteller, well, then you're the full package. But I argue that if you don't have the other three, if you can just be good at storytelling, well, then you can take this the first step that you would need in order to build that personal brand, because if you can't communicate that properly, then people don't know what to associate you with or what to even think of you when they hear your name. And so this was a fun exercise as well. I was doing a little bit of research and I was like, how can I help people figure out what their personal brand is, because I don't have the full blueprint. I'm figuring it out as I go as well. And I came across this and I thought it was really cool because, in a way, I was implementing this exercise. I just was never really conscious of it. It was something that was happening subconsciously. And so, for everybody that's in here right now, or for anybody who's watching the recording in the future, think of that person who knows you in the way that you want everybody to see you. So for me, that's my sister. My sister sees me in my best version. I can be my goofy self. I can be my business-oriented self. I can be the troll that I am. But I can also be very forward-thinking with her. I can talk to her about business ideas. I could crack jokes. I feel like I'm like in my in one of my best modes that I would love everybody to see me as. And that's how I believe that you should build your brand, by being the best version of yourself and telling your story so that everybody can see you in that same limelight. So for some of you guys, that might be your partner. For some of you guys, that might be your best friend. For some of you guys, that might be your mom. Figure out whatever that best version of yourself is, because we're not showing that same mask to everybody. When we go to class, sometimes we're a little bit more reserved. When we hang out, maybe with like our friend group, we choose to be like overly funny and almost like overcompensate. But when are you your best version? I don't know that answer. That's something you have to find within yourself. And this is something that I think is also extremely important. And I have been able to help consult so many different founders and creatives and creators and relatives and friends when building their personal brands. And the one piece of advice that I always tell them is that you don't need millions of views. You don't need to be famous. There's really a video that I have of me speaking at an AI panel and it has 7 views. And yeah, maybe there might be one with a couple thousand, but there's so many that don't even have the same amount of traction. But that still doesn't mean that I don't get the same opportunities that some of these other people get when they have a personal brand. As I stated down below, I get to travel for free. I get hotels for free. I've been able to have multiple opportunities to speak in front of hundreds of people. People want to come and work for our company. We get meals paid for, and I was able to find my co-founder because of my personal brand. And I think that's something that people need to realize, is that you could have 2,000 followers, but if you're really good at storytelling and your personal brand is there, you could still have access to all these things. As long as you're good at communicating your message and what you stand for, I really think that, I mean, I've seen it myself. I have a couple friends that have like 1,000 or 2,000 followers, but they have the best personal brand that I've ever seen. It's so concise. You know what they stand for, you know what their niche is, and they're going to more events than some other creators that I know that maybe have like 300 or 400,000 followers, but they don't really have a niche that they're in. They don't really stand for anything. They kind of just got a little bit of buzz and they're kind of riding those coattails. And I think that's what's so great about this whole thing is that once you realize that, you realize you're not that far away from getting the things that you want with your personal brand. So, for example, if all you need is 1,000 followers and being really good at communicating your story, well, then you could start tomorrow and you can start to see results within like the next, couple months. And so now the next question is, how do you start that? Um, so my question for you would be, I mean, how would you describe your ideal personal brand in one word? And that's something that we said earlier on in the presentation. Um, and they always say this as well. Great artists steal. Like you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Find something that works, get inspiration, do a lot of research on what you think might make the most sense for you, and then start to implement those things yourself. Um, and then another interactive experience as well that I think would be really good for you guys is to ask your friends what they think of you. Now, don't get me wrong, it depends on the type of friend group that you have. Like if they're not on the same grind in terms of like self-development or trying to build towards something, they might just clown on you because you're like, bro, who do you think you are? Coming here asking, what we think about you and what your personal brand is. You have to be able to trust this person and make sure that they see eye to eye with you to even be able to have this type of conversation. Um, And then the next one is, what is my personal brand? So to kind of put you guys in my shoes, I did this exercise myself. So what is my personal brand? I want the word to just be creator, whether it be me creating like a short film or a mini documentary or a commercial or a painting or a song or a software company or a media company or creating an event. My word for me and my personal brand is just creating. And I asked some of my friends and I said, what is one word that you would describe me as? And a lot of them said troll. That was the word that I heard the most. And so now there's a way where you can kind of fuse that, right? So I don't know if everybody in here is familiar with some of the marketing tactics that we've had, but obviously with tappedai, it's a little bit more troll-like. We like to troll corporate. We like to troll bigger companies. In a way, that's what's been able to get us so much attention because we're punching up, right? And when you're going after like these bigger institutions, it's also creating a community of people that also believe in that same thing. A lot of people are like anti-label or anti-major corporations. You have to find out what you stand for, right? And I think for us and my personal brand is, being a creator, and I like to troll as a form of marketing. And someone that I mold my personal brand after is Childish Gambino. I don't do everything that he does. Like I'm not like uh copying him verbatim, but I like the different things that he does. Like he can write a TV show and he can go and executive produce a song, and then he can sing in a song and he can create a painting, and it's basically limitless for whatever he wants to get himself involved in. And I like the idea of just being able to create whatever you want in that art field because there's not a lot of people who do it well. I think Kanye does it really well. Russ does it really well. Obviously, Gambino does it well, but there's only a handful of people like the Justin Timberlakes, Lil Tecca, etc. And so for me, by having my personal brand, it's been able to help me develop TCC Entertainment, which is our media company that does video production, event production, and digital marketing. And then Tapped AI, which is the tech startup, which allows independent performers to be able to create a world tour through their iPhone. And then Creator Week, which is a combination of Fashion Week, Indie Music Week, Tech Week, Art and Design Week, and I'm sure I'm missing one, but you guys get the idea. It's supposed to be like South by Southwest for New York. And then lastly, Cheat Codes, which was a book that teaches people how to market themselves online. And so as we're getting towards the end of the presentation, I wanted to show you guys this right here. I recently had a conversation with my co-founder Eli from TCC, and we were talking about doing some rebranding for the company and stuff. And he was like, it's really cool, or he thought it would be really cool to make the T in TCC like a plus sign, because if our ethos as a company is also to create and everybody is a creator, well, then that button right there, that plus sign, is how everybody has to create. If anybody wants to post or publish their work on any platform that they go on, they have to press that plus sign. And when we had that conversation, it really made me realize it was like, it's so easy for people to just go out there and create, and all it is just that little button right there. Obviously, it's one thing to go and create the art, but to actually make it public and to make it live is just by clicking that one button right there. And I think a lot of people kind of overcomplicate the process of creation. Sometimes it's just as easy as pressing that button, and I promise you, once you realize that, you will start posting and creating a lot more. Um, So as we're getting close to wrapping up, how you can build a personal brand is by going on podcasts, attending events, connecting with people on or socials, writing a blog, making YouTube videos about the field that you're interested in, getting featured on publications, joining organizations. And I keep saying this over and over and over again, storytelling is the most important thing. Take this from me. The past 7 to 8 years, I was building my companies and I didn't really get my personal brand involved. Within the past 7 to 8 months, I've got my personal brand involved with the companies that I've been working on, and it 10x'd our growth in everything that we're doing because now there's a face involved. Obviously, people knew that I was running TCC, but until I started telling about the stories and the trials and tribulations that we were facing, like for example, the major labels shut down our media company's Instagram account, and we were getting 90 million views a year. And now, when I speak from a vulnerable perspective of how much time and effort me and my co founders have spent the past couple of years developing this company and showing how upset we are and giving that real, like, visceral reaction to it, it gives people something to attach themselves to. Whereas if the Instagram account was just down and we just said something on the page, it's kind of faceless. You don't see the emotion. When you're talking from your perspective and allowing people to come into your world like that, they're able to resonate with you and also be along for the ride. And so I had so much overwhelming support because I made that public and people were able to help me with that. And so many people came to our support by, giving us access to people that can help with unbans, finding us like other marketers that could help us like build another page, or just even being there and just like letting us know how much like the platform changed their life. And obviously, we listed all these things about how to build your personal brand. If you want to be featured on our magazine, since our media company got shut down, the direction that we're taking as a company going forward, instead of actually going digital, we're going physical because they could never take away a magazine from us. These platforms can always copyright strike you, they can always take your company away, but if we have something physical and we own the emails, we can always have our platform and nobody can take that away from us. So if you are interested, whether you're a creative, if you're making paintings, if you're a musician, if you're a tech founder, it doesn't matter what you are. If you are creating something and you want to be featured on a magazine for free, what I will go ahead and do for you, if you're watching this recording or if you're in this webinar right now, if you have a friend, you can send them to this email to submit their work. And more than likely, we will feature them in the magazine for free, which we'll be releasing sometime next year. Um, and that's pretty much it for the presentation. I'm going to allow you guys to ask questions like the next 9 minutes before we end. And I hope you guys enjoyed. All right, anybody have any questions? You guys can unmute now.
Yeah. How do you stay comfortable in front of a camera? I'm still kind of getting used to that and have like 15 videos out.
Yeah. To be honest with you, man, I'm nervous right now. That I don't think that feeling ever goes away. I think you just get better at hiding it, to be honest. One thing I do, and I realize this isn't normal because a lot of my friends or just anybody that's close to me that knows me will always say they're like, you don't think like when you text or if you upload anything. I know most of the times you should be looking at the content that you're posting and really looking through it to make sure there's no errors or mistakes. But if I do that, I'll get caught in this like procrastination and almost get like paralyzed to the point where like I don't want to release anything. Or even when I'm sending a text or like an email, I don't even overthink it. Like I just like write it, send. If there's no mistakes, if it gets the message across, then I can't overthink it. I just got to send it and I got to deal with it because chances are if that person wants to talk to me, if that person wants to do business with me, if that person wants to watch my content, read my content, whatever, me wording it a little bit differently is not going to change their mind. So the best thing I could tell you, bro, is I don't think you'll ever get over that feeling. You'll just get better at hiding it, and the more that you exercise just by putting stuff out there, the better you'll get better at that. And I saw we had another hand up as well. I think his name is Tazwar. Or
Yeah,
Fergus.
yeah. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for doing this call. This is super helpful. So my question is like I am like 24, like I work like a 9 to 5 and stuff, so I don't have a lot of hours during the day, but I have like a lot of like I in terms of being a creative, like I like making music and I've already released like kind of short free verse videos that I post on like my social medias that gets like good attention,
Hmm.
I think, for my personal network. And then outside of that, I also have like a very strong passion for like literature and just like doing book reviews and just honestly posting my own personal like pieces. And so I kind of have a TikTok where I just like post book reviews and just kind of like random musings and stuff like that. And so I feel like these are two like completely separate different mediums that are catering to two different kinds of audiences, but ultimately what I want to do is just try to like tap into people's deeper emotions and feelings, whether it's through music and writing,
Hmm.
like prose writing. And I'm just having a hard time like not only not spreading myself thin between these two mediums, but like kind of figuring out a way I can like consolidate like these two different mediums and art forms, you know. Like I just feel like time wise I've been really stretched thin. I don't know what to like focus on, and also yeah, just like how to consolidate this stuff because I don't want to give up one for the other. You know what I mean?
So, and let me get this right. You're saying that you have a 9 to 5, and then you also have a page where you review literature, and you feel as if you don't have enough time to properly give the attention to both, correct?
Yeah, that's like one of the issues. Like some weekdays I'll just like do work on like book reviews, and then over the weekend I'll record a quick verse or something, and then I'll post that.
Okay. I
Like
think,
so, yeah.
and this might help you because I feel the same way. Obviously, I have TCC Entertainment, which is more of like a service-based company. And like I said, that does digital marketing, event production, and what's it called? Video production. And that's completely different from the tech company where it's live music data. And we built a software company that helps independent musicians and comedians get booked for local shows, tours, etc., right? And then obviously we have Creator Week, which is basically like a cultivation of all these different types of creator-based events. And then obviously the book as well, cheat codes, and just building my personal brand. This might sound backwards, but at least for me, and I don't know if this will specifically help you, but I will say it anyways in hopes that it will. When I started having like LinkedIn as a medium where I kind of talk about everything that I'm working on, it made things a little bit more cohesive for me. Because now I kind of have like one medium where everything's combined. So maybe for you, that might be like Twitter. And every day on Twitter, you could talk about what you've done with all the two different, projects that you're working on, and then you'll also start to build a community around that, right? Because now, with my personal brand, like that I've been able to develop on like Twitter and LinkedIn, I've built a community of people that like to support all the projects that I have, right? Whereas beforehand, all the companies had all these separate sub communities. But now that I have my personal brand, everybody's supporting all the different projects that I'm working on. And so now whenever I'm doing something with Tapped and I post it on my personal brand, that's gonna get an engineer to follow me. And now if I have an issue with TCC Entertainment and I post it on LinkedIn, that engineer will now help with the TCC website. So I think by having kind of like a funnel where you can kind of go to express all the things that you're working on, maybe will make it a little bit easier for you. And if that doesn't work, I would recommend obviously getting like a planner or just like journaling every day, so that way you could organize your thoughts a little bit more. That's probably maybe like more tangible advice because I don't really know if the other thing will work for you. I mean, just because it works for me doesn't mean it will for you. You know what I mean?
I see. So I can just kind of embrace like a multifaceted personality essentially rather than trying to play like two different characters on like two different mediums. Like just
Embrace it all.
embrace.
Yeah, that's a great way to word it because for me, I was juggling so many different things, and some people knew me as the events organizer, and some people knew me as a tech founder, some people knew me as a creative, some people knew me as an executive producer. I was losing track, and you have to like constantly like context switch, right? at one point you're having a conversation deep about AI, and then the next you're talking about music and beat production and things of that nature. And so, yeah, I think for me, like things in my mind at least got a little bit more sharp or a little bit more organized when I had everything just being embraced all at once.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. That was helpful.
Of course. Any other questions before we end? And what I'm gonna do too is I'm also gonna leave my Instagram in the link down below. If any of you guys don't already follow me, I'd love to help all you guys out, separately in any way that I can. You can just shoot me a DM. I don't mind. Um, and I'd love to just be able to have that open conversation with everybody who's been able to attend the call today. Awesome. We're also throwing an event tomorrow. So if any of you guys are in New York, we're doing a New York Fashion Week event. It's sold out, but since you guys all came here when there's literally a presidential debate going on, I will give you a free ticket. But yeah, guys, please reach out to me. It means a lot that you guys came through. So looking forward to seeing you guys at the next couple events.